This is day 2 of David's preliminary hearing in 4 minutes. The prosecution began by focusing on motive, really honing in on what David stood to lose if his relationship with Celeste became public. Benjamin Greger was one of the first to testify. He was either one of David's business or financial managers. He said that he had learned Celeste's first name before her remains were even discovered, and that he had learned her name from David's manager, Rob Morgenroth. The prosecution then attempted to ask whether Celeste was ever referred to as David's girlfriend, or whether David had taken her to London, Texas, or any nightclubs where fake ID may have been used. However, a lot of those questions were objected to, and eventually the judge stopped that line of inquiry. Prosecution then called witnesses to explain the value of David's career. An Interscope executive, testified that David had already received over $6 million in revenue from his first 2 albums and merchandising. His contract also included several future album options, which could be worth millions more. He also had endorsements with Hollister, Crocs, and Bose, which reportedly generated over $485,000. Essentially, the prosecution's theory is that David's highly profitable career could have been jeopardized if this alleged relationship with a minor became public, but the defense pushed back on that, stating he didn't even run his own finances. His mom ran his day-to-day, and so he really didn't have a full scope or a full outlook on how much he made, how much he was bringing in, so much so that he would kill Celeste to protect that money. The hearing then shifted to Celeste's passport card. A California Highway Patrol officer testified that a Caltrans worker found her passport card in tall grass near Highway 154 in Santa Barbara County on January 7, 2026. Prosecutors say that location evidence places David in that general area after Celeste's death. And when Celeste's photograph was presented in court, her mom became visibly distraught, began to cry, and eventually had to leave the courtroom. The defense really challenged the weight of the passport card here and questioned the forensics. The Caltrans worker handled the card without gloves, it wasn't dusted for fingerprints, and you really couldn't determine how long the card had been there or who placed it there. Next came testimony about David's Tesla. An LAPD criminalist described a very strong odor of decomposition in the front trunk or the frunk of the Tesla, and described that there were dead insects, maggots, and flies all throughout the trunk. Investigators also found 11 air fresheners. I'm not sure who thought that was a good idea, but placed throughout the vehicle, including the center console, the glove box, and obviously the trunk. Presumptive testing also identified the presence of blood in the trunk, and presumptive is a very important word here. It presumes that there is presence of blood, but it does not definitively prove whose it is or if it is actually blood. But come on. The prosecution then moved on to the forensic evidence recovered from the garage, and it was a lot, so let me read this to you from my notes. They reported possible blood reactions from rubber garage mats, the brick floor underneath them, a rowing machine, the Tesla charging equipment, tarps, trash bags, wipes, fabric, and the blue inflatable pool. The rubber flooring had linear cuts that the criminalist said were consistent with contact with a sharp object, and the inflatable pool had been cut or damaged, but also smelled like it had been recently cleaned, and they found like a dryer sheet tucked in under it. Investigators used Blue Star, which is similar to luminol, to test the garage, and they did confirm that the garage mats and the pool glowed during testing. However, the defense did challenge this by stating that there are other substances that can also glow during testing, and the criminologist did acknowledge that they could not definitively say if those reactions were blood just based on that test alone. 2 chainsaws were located in the garage. They tested negative for blood. However, that 10-inch Makita chainsaw that was confirmed in David's purchases still hasn't been recovered. And that's it for day 2. Now, I really want your thoughts on the motive argument. I feel like saying that David's mother handled day-to-day finances doesn't really solve for anything. I mean, David may not have managed how much was in the checking account, but he did go through great lengths, per the prosecution's theories, to conceal Celeste's identity. So it coming out had to have been a risk he wasn't willing to take, right? Let me know what your thoughts are, and please make sure that you are liking, subscribing, sharing, doing all that jazz, because we are bringing you more updates as soon as possible and nice and quick because I have ADHD. I'll catch you in the next one.